Hey there, my name is Brady Hogard and I'm with Sonido Software. Today we're going to be talking about a specific topic that we were invited to present at the 2023 NAMM conference as a speaker, as a presenter. And we are so excited to be here with you today talking about these same topics all around marketing. How to market your audio production studio to drive more revenue and more clients over time. So the topic here today is 5 ways to market your studio for growth and higher revenue. Now, this topic does not include every possible marketing strategy that you could implement within your own studio. We're simply taking some of these key takeaways that you can implement to help drive additional revenue and experience growth within your own studio. So keep that in mind. But to give you an idea, we're going to be talking about number 1, establish a web presence. Number 2, social media and content. Number 3, establish a local presence. Number 4, community involvement. And number 5, make connections. And we're also throwing in a bonus called word of mouth to give you a little bit more insight into that area as well. So hang tight. We're going to dive into this a little bit here in just a moment. Again, my name is Brady Hogard. I am the CEO of Sonido Software. Sonido is an audio production studio management software platform that helps you to manage your entire studio business more effectively. I also own and manage Edison Recording Studio, where we work with audio clients all day, every day, and we're very familiar with the audio production flow. So let's get straight into number 1. The first way that you can drive more revenue and growth within your studio is establishing a web presence. Okay, we're going to talk about a website, about search engine optimization or SEO, as well as positive reviews and the effect that it can have on your business. So kicking off with a website very first. Most of us are probably very familiar with websites today, and many of you probably already have your own website for your studio, which is good. Now, a website itself, it's all about presenting information, sharing information about your business, branding, and there's a number of other benefits as well. But as you're considering building your website, especially if you don't have one today, or if you're looking at revamping your website, some things that you want to maybe consider including as a part of the website is number 1, who you are. Right? Who are you? What is your studio? What is it all about? What is your history, your background? You know, those kind of details can give your website some personality. Number 2 is what services are offered. Make sure that you have a section that talks about what services you're offering as a part of your business, right? Now, if you're a full production studio, you'll probably have sections in your website talking about recording and the production efforts, maybe mixing, editing, mastering if you offer mastering services as well, or any other services that you're offering. Some of that may be more streamlined, more slimmed down if you are, say, a mixing studio and you focus primarily just on mixing or even just mastering as a mastering studio. But make sure you include what services you're currently offering as a part of your studio service offering. Next is portfolio. It's a great idea to have a portfolio of some of your finest work that you've done with clients so that individuals who are coming to your website, they can see what you've accomplished and how happy you've made other clients. And it'll make them want to have that same level of quality with their own projects. Contact information. You know, believe it or not, sometimes people forget to add contact information to their website, which sounds crazy. It's one of those things that could be easy to overlook. Make sure that you have a way for your clients to contact you, whether that's a contact form on maybe a contact us page or phone numbers, email address listed, or any other way to contact you. Make sure that it's easy for them to find that information so that they can reach out to you about questions or interest. Another great option that a lot of studios are using on their websites today is a book a session or book now feature, where they have an automated booking flow that's connected within their website. So visitors, once they've read through the website and understand what their business is and what services are offered, and maybe these individuals, these contacts are excited about contacting your studio about getting started with their own project. One easy way to make that happen is have a book now section where they can click a button, select a date and time, and book a session with you, maybe even paying deposits up front. So you're collecting those funds and getting new clients from your website directly. Really great option if it fits your business model. All right, so I want to talk about using systems, right? Now, you're going to see this slide use a system a couple times throughout this presentation. Really, it's a call for action. If you're looking at implementing some of these strategies, we'll give you some suggestions or some options that you can consider in making this happen. Now, in this particular case, regarding a website, use a system. You may not be a web developer or a graphic designer, or you may not feel like you have maybe the background or the interest in building out a website to look very professional and nice and clean. And that's perfectly fine, right? You do not have to be a professional in those areas. There are a lot of websites out there that will help you accomplish some of these goals. If you're looking to build a website or revamp your website and you're not sure what system to use, maybe look at a couple of these options. Now, this is just a handful of options, and there's a lot of others out there, but we commonly see people using Wix, WordPress, as well as Squarespace to build a website, right? And a lot of these options will have templates of websites that you can just select, import right in, and now you don't have to start from scratch. Right now, it's just a matter of you maybe refining the layout, changing photos, updating your information, logos, things like that to make the website your own. But it gives you a great place to springboard from so that you spend less time building and more time refining and making the website look how you want it to. All right. And again, some of these have very specific templates designed for our industry as well. For example, in Wix, you can go and look for a template for an audio production studio or a recording studio, and it will already have a great number of options that you can just plug right in and be ready to go once you customize it for your needs. So use a system, right? You don't have to build it from scratch. You don't have to feel overwhelmed. There's a lot of resources out there to help you build a website and get started, in as little as a few hours or even a day. All right, our next topic is going to be on search engine optimization, or SEO, as we commonly hear. So now notice below, we've got a statistic that pops up here. Google processes over 99,000 searches every single second. That's more than 8.5 billion searches a day, right? So when somebody's going online and they're asking a question, what restaurants are near me, or what's a good recording studio near me? These searches are happening constantly, and 8.5 billion searches a day. That's a phenomenal and staggering number of searches that people are making every single day. We've got a lot of different search engines. The most popular by far is Google, but you've got Bing and some others as well that are also taking these searches. What search engine optimization is really about is building your website and creating in a way that you can be found when people are searching for something that you are offering. Okay, there's another statistic here as well. 46% of all Google searches are for a local product or service. Okay, that's almost half of the searches that are made on Google are related to a local product or service. And so that example on the screen, what restaurants are near me, right? That comes up all the time. In fact, while we were at the NAMM show, and presenting this, we actually asked that to all the audience that was sitting there. How many of you, by the raise of hands, did a search asking for what's a good restaurant or what's a good bar near me, last night? And most of the hands popped up in the audience, right? A lot of people were asking. And believe it or not, most of the results that were shared were all local restaurants, local bars, because a lot of these people are out-of-towners and they don't know what's good. They want some suggestions on, where's a good place to eat or have a drink, right? So that's a huge number, right? Almost 50%, almost half of Google searches are related to a local product or service, which means when somebody in your location is doing a Google search, or maybe on Siri, they're saying, what's a good recording studio near me? There's a very good chance that you want to pop up as a local search result, right? And that's really what this is all about. So let's define SEO a little bit more. Now, this is a little bit technical, right? But SEO is the process of improving your website to increase its visibility in search engines. The better visibility your pages have in search results, the more likely you are to be found and clicked on. Ultimately, the goal of search engine optimization is to help attract website visitors who will become customers, clients, or an audience that keeps coming back, right? So we can see here in this kind of moving image on the page here, we've done a Google search, right? And this will probably reset in just a minute so we can see it again. But this was actually taken when I was sitting in my hotel room during the NAMM show. One night I just typed in, recording studios near me. And you can see there's a number of advertisements that show up first, but just below that, We've got Google Places. So Google Maps are showing me local recording studios like Hear No Evil Studio and others. And then below that, we start to see other results that are popping up. This is a local search. And while I was sitting in Anaheim, we've got Costa Mesa Recording Studio, we've got OC Sound Studio, 17th Street Recording Studio, and others. These are all local studios. This is what you want to happen. When somebody near you says, what's a great recording studio near me? You want to pop up as high on that list as you can. And getting higher up on that list is, there's a number of different factors, but one of the main factors is your search engine optimization of your website itself, which is what we're talking about here. So when you're thinking about optimizing your website, it's really, a lot of it is about content. What content is on your website and how is it written? So there's two key things that we're going to talk about here for just a moment. Number one is when we're dealing with your content on your website, how do you write for people who are searching, and how do you write for search engines that are searching? Okay, let's start with people because that's the most obvious. When you're building out your website and you're writing information, some of the best things to do for standard SEO practices and to increase your visibility, number one is quality information, followed by original content. So what does that mean? It means when you're writing a web page, we want to have quality information that's describing who you are, what do you do, how do you help your clients, something that people will be able to understand, right? Original content means don't copy and paste text from other websites and reuse content that you find somewhere else from your own Google search, right? That's plagiarism, but also search engines are very smart today. They see right through that, and they don't like it, right? They don't like to see duplicate content on the web because it can confuse things. You need to write your own original content. Write your website pages and the information in your voice, your own language, and make it very quality and original, easy to understand, which is actually the next point there. Easy to understand. You don't have to be verbose. You don't have to, pick up a thesaurus and try to use big words and make it sound very formal. Be yourself, right? And write the content as yourself, but make it very clear and easy to understand. Images and videos are very important for websites today, right? We're very visual people, and we see that in social videos, shorts, reels. We're going to get into that later, but that's kind of the king right now is video and visual content. So make sure your website has good quality visual content as well. Photos of your studio or of clients, or maybe a video walkthrough, or things like that that help provide more information for people who are searching, right? The better you write it for people, the more that it connects with somebody who's viewing your website and gathers their interest and they spend more time on your website, the higher up your website is going to rank in search results. And that's ultimately what we want, right? We don't want to fall on page 5 because the majority of people are not going to click through 5 pages looking for a studio. They're going to go through the first, maybe the second page. If you can fall higher up, there's a much greater chance eyeballs will be on your website as a link. Okay, the second step here is write for search engines. So this is a little bit more technical. You may or may not have experience with this, but it's really about the outline of your web pages and the content that's held there. So number one, page titles. It's similar to header tags. When you look at a website, a lot of times at the top of the page, you'll see in larger, maybe bold, font sizes, the title of the page, or section titles. As you're reading through like an article or some kind of a page, there's going to be a bolder, larger font, paragraph text. Bolder, larger font, paragraph text. These are page titles, but these are also what they call header tags. H1, H2, H3 tags, and so forth. We don't have to get into that too much. Just know that having different that structure that's organized with page titles, header tags for different sections, it helps a search engine to be able to index your site and understand the content flow a little bit easier so that they can serve your site to others who are looking. Also, links and backlinks. Links and backlinks are very important. Not only internal links to your website. So for example, somebody finds your homepage and it says, check out our services. And there's a link that goes to your services page. Or, curious about our rates, click here. Different ways that you can intertwine your own website with links to different pages can help with navigation flows, and search engines like that. Those are called internal links. There are also external links. External links are when you reference a different web page that's not even in your website. It's outside of your website, or vice versa. Somebody else's web page references your web page from theirs, and you've got these links going back and forth between different pages. That shows that you're a valid source, that you're a quality website, and you've got all of these connections. And so you don't want to fake them. Be genuine. You could have partners that you work with. If you're a production studio, but you do mastering services with another studio, maybe within your website you have a partners section in your menu that has a couple of these partners. Here's a mastering studio we work with. Check them out. Here is a music supplier in the area. And what would be a really good idea is to contact those partners and say, hey, I'd like to add your website to mine as a link. Would you mind doing the same on your website? And in doing that, now you both have a backlink back and forth. So anyway, enough of that. Those are very, very good to build into your website and build those relationships and have links back and forth. And last is image alt or alternate text. Okay. What this is, there's a couple ways that you want to make sure that you have text based on images. One way is there's a way to have alternate text on your images where, let's say it's a broken link for some reason. The link breaks, and instead of just showing a broken link icon, it can have alternate text there that says this was a picture of, your studio and the information, just so people can navigate if something breaks. But the more important way to use image alternate text is like keywords and information about the image itself. So maybe you've got an image of your studio, and then what the users don't see is on the back end, you've got this alternate text that says, my studio name, this is Studio A, tracking, drums, vocals, whatever. Just information there that can connect with a search engine. So when they're looking for, a Studio A, can record drums, it can read that from your website and see that you've got images that relate to the search that people are asking for, and that can help, right? So there's a lot of different things, and this is not an exhaustive list of ways that you can improve your SEO, but these are some initial steps that you can take to make sure you have quality, easy to understand content on your website that people can follow. Now, the next section we're going to talk about in shifting gears here is positive reviews, right? How important are reviews? Now, this is actually similar to a question that I asked at NAMM, again, to the audience that was sitting there. I said, okay, how many of you that searched last night for a good restaurant or a good bar, how many of you looked at the reviews and based your decision on where to go on reviews from a search? And nearly every one of those hands came up again, right? Reviews are important, and we don't take them lightly. Notice the statistic here on the screen. 86% of people will hesitate to purchase from a business that has negative online reviews. Do you believe that? I think most of us do, and most of us have been in that situation. So here on the screen, you can see, I actually, this is just a local studio in Anaheim that I pulled up. I don't know Love and Laughter Music and Recording Studios, but I would love to get to know you. But we looked for a search of a local audio production studio or a recording studio, and they came up. And I was looking at their profile here a little bit through the Google search, and we can see that they've got lots of photos. We've got information, and then right away you notice that they have 63 reviews with an average score of 4.5 stars. This is considered a great review, right? If you can get this many reviews and have 4.0 or higher, you're going to be driving more traffic simply because of that. If you had the option to go to a restaurant and you're looking them up, and let's say you want some Thai food. You want really good Thai food in Anaheim. You hear that they've got some great Thai, and you're looking for a place to go. And you've got one that comes up, and it's got 30 reviews that are all on average 4.8 stars. And then you find another one that has 60 reviews with an average of maybe 2.3 stars. Which we're going to go to, right? I mean, very likely the one with lots more reviews with lower star ratings, we're probably not even going to give it a look, right? Unless we're curious about what's going wrong there. More than likely, we're going to look at this other restaurant that has higher reviews, and that's probably where we're going to go. Now, that's not always the situation, but most of us, 86% of us, hesitate to purchase from someone who has low reviews. You need to make sure that you're providing the experience that will help give you higher reviews, so that people will look at your business when they're doing a search and they feel more comfortable reaching out and learning more. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but Here on the screen, there's a couple examples of what you can see in reviews. A lot of these are just text-based reviews, but you do have people who also take photos. This is something that I would encourage with your studios. When you have clients come in, say, hey man, take some photos. Make sure you enjoy this experience. Take photos of yourself. I'd be happy to take some of you while you're tracking. And then when they provide a review, you can encourage them to share those photos on their review so other people can see them. They're real photos. They're not, on a marketing level from you and your company building the best photos on your website. They are real, genuine photos that clients have that they're posting as a part of their review. Of course, you want to make sure you have a great environment and giving your clients a good experience so that they're posting the best possible reviews as well. Now, when we're thinking about reviews, here are a couple takeaways that I want to share with you. Number one, it is okay to ask your clients for a review. Right? There's nothing wrong with reaching out after the session saying, hey, would you mind giving us a review? I can send you the link. Or maybe, we'll talk about this in a moment, but automating the process so you have a system that automatically sends them a link where they can give you a review after the session. It's okay to ask people for reviews. We don't have to just sit back and twiddle our thumbs and wait for somebody to give us a review. Definitely ask for it. Also, it is okay to ask for a 5-star review. There is nothing wrong with that, right? You could reach out to that same client and say, hey, I had an awesome experience with you today in our session. Would you mind giving us a 5-star review? And by the way, here's the link. Oh, and by the way, upload some of those photos you took during the session. I'm sure people would love to see it, right? It is okay to ask for that. You're not requiring anyone to give it, but it doesn't hurt to say, will you give us a 5-star review? Here's the link, right? And then last, always respond to a review. When somebody sends a review through to you, you want to reply to that and just show that you're a genuine person, that you're not just a robot or a cog or you don't care. Reply to those reviews. If they've given you a great review, it's a chance for you to add some additional information that maybe somebody else reading those reviews will find. Samantha, I had an awesome session. Thank you so much for the review and for coming by. Would love to have you back. I'm so excited about your project and the direction that your music is heading, right? Something along those lines that makes you feel like a more personal touch to that experience, that relationship. Look at that on the converse side. What if somebody gives you a 1-star review and they say, man, this was the worst place. I had a terrible experience and I'll never go back, right? We've all wanted to give those reviews, I think, before and in different situations. How interesting would it be if you, as the business owner, wrote back to that review and said, man, Jonathan, I am so sorry you had this experience. I didn't realize it. I thought everything was going very well during the session. Would love to sit down and talk to you about this. And I would love to find a way to make this right. I'll reach out to you directly, right? When somebody's reading that review and they see a 1-star review and they say, man, what happened? And then they see your response, I think they can start to understand you a little bit better and realize, wow, okay, this was an anomaly. This wasn't normal. This company usually has great reviews and great responses, and it makes them, want to maybe trust you. They may ignore that poor review in a sense. So always respond to these reviews, right? It makes you look good. Okay. Use a system. We see this pop up again. All right, we want to use a system for capturing reviews. Now, there's nothing wrong with you reaching out and making this a manual process flow, right? You can reach out by text or send an email yourself to the client after every session asking for their reviews. But there are ways you can automate this as well. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple email marketing options. Now, these can obviously do a lot more than this, and we're not going to go there today, but there are email systems out there like MailChimp or Email Octopus or Constant Contact that you can set up for a lot of purposes, but also to build an email template where you have information. Loved working with you today. We would love to request a 5-star review from you. Can you click this following link and give us your review of your experience, right? Something along those lines where you've got it all queued up. You don't have to type it out every time you have a client come in. You can just send. And there are ways you can automate that as well. there's a number of different ways, and we'd be happy to dive into this deeper with you to give you some ideas if you're not doing this already. But one way is just have those emails queued up. So as soon as you add a tag or add these contacts into a certain list, it automatically sends that email out. Or alternatively, you could do further automation. Maybe you've got your scheduling system that can connect to this email marketing system. And it looks, and every time you complete a session over here in the calendar, it automatically queues up this email and sends it out to the client, right? There's different things you can do to automate that so you don't forget, so it's less human touch and just more automated. And then, of course, always respond to those reviews yourself. Don't let a system do that for you. Using systems is huge. We'll touch on that more and more today. Number 2, we're going to go to the second way that you can drive more revenue and growth for your studio: social media and content. So in this section, we're going to talk about social media, article content, including some AI-generated content, and video content and the importance of that. So let's dive into it. First of all is social media. Now we've got another statistic here. In the United States of America, at least 82% of internet users are on social media. The total number of social media users will likely reach 257 million by the end of 2023. That is a staggering number, isn't it? That's huge. 82% of internet users are on social media of one form or another, right? And we know that there's different social channels, and they may cater or draw in different people with different demographics. So you kind of need to know your audience a little bit here. But if you are looking at using social media as a way to market your studio, there's a couple considerations that you need to look at. Now, you could just post and just call it general awareness. I'm posting this and I'm posting that, and really have no strategy around it, and that's fine, right? You'll get eyeballs on it, and you'll get some traffic there. But let's think about some of the strategic side of how are we using social media for managing our marketing, or at least marketing through social media. Number 1, who is your audience? You need to understand who your audience is, and most of us probably know, right? They're musicians, they're artists, maybe they're businesses in the community that are using our studio for production services of one way or another. Who is the audience? You also need to know who is the audience for each social channel. So for example, Facebook. Right? Most of us are probably aware that Facebook is not popular among younger generations. You're probably capturing the audience of, the demographic ages, 30 to 35 plus. So if that's your audience, Facebook will work very well for you. If you're trying to capture younger audience, it may not be the best place. Not that it wouldn't work, but it may not be the best. You're probably going to go to TikTok or Instagram to find a younger audience. Instagram falls right in the middle. They've got a young audience and they've got a more mature audience as well, but not always as mature as Facebook, right? LinkedIn, if you're looking for businesses, corporations, it'll be a great option. You can still find others there as well, but you're not typically going to find a lot of musicians themselves on LinkedIn. So understand the audience for each one of these different social channels and really cater your social marketing efforts to that audience in each social channel. Also, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish with these social channels, right? Is it just general awareness of your studio? Is it a specific marketing campaign? Maybe you're highlighting your clients so that other musicians can see them and see them in the studio and build a reputation that way. Build goals, right? Understand what is my goal and how do I accomplish this goal using social media as a marketing channel. Also, how often should you share content? This one's a little bit interesting. Some people say you should share 6 posts every day. Other people say you're fine just posting twice a week. Really, this one's more up to you and what you are comfortable with. If you haven't used social media, but you want to get into it, there's nothing wrong with starting small and building over time, right? For myself, I feel like getting hit, 6+ times a day from different people with posts, that's a little bit much. For other people, they don't mind, right? It keeps your business top of mind when they see you again and again and again. So there's different goals that you can run with that as far as the frequency of posts, but that's something that you can explore and figure out what works best for you. Also figure out what form of content do you want to use for social media, right? There's a lot of different ways. You can just do a straight up post. Maybe you're doing direct messages to contacts and sharing information. Stories and reels, the video component is huge today. So maybe you want to focus on doing regular stories or reels as a part of your your social marketing strategy. So kind of consider all of that. Really, at the end of the day, it's about the strategy. What is your strategy? Like, build this strategy based on what social channels am I using? What do I want to accomplish? How often am I posting? What type of post? And it might be a mix-up every week, right? But start to build a structured strategy about what you want to accomplish and fill it in with some of this information to start generating results. And honestly, at the end of the day, if something's not working, nothing's stopping you from changing this, your own algorithm, if you will, right? How you're posting and what you're posting and how frequently. You can change it around and test it and figure out what's going to work best for your studio and gaining more and more interest. Okay, so use a system. If you're anything like me, social media is, I feel like social media is great, but man, I've got so much going on during the day. How do I make time to do, 4 posts a day and get all the content together and do all of that? Well, there are systems that can help out, right? For social posts, you can use a system to automate the scheduling of those posts so that you don't have to stay up all hours of the day and press the button. Okay, I'm going to post this one at 6 o'clock and there it is. Or I'm going to post one at 1 a.m. and there it is, right? Got to set an alarm and wake myself up. You don't have to do that. There are systems that will help automate this flow. It does take a little bit of work up front, so you can build out all of your posts and schedule them, right? Build that schedule when they will release. But once you've done that, the system will just post it and you're off and running. I hear this every now and again, and it's actually a great idea. People call They have a term called marketing Mondays, right? Mondays are days that they work on their business. And the other days of the week, they are plowing through the business. They're working with clients. They're delivering the results, services, everything that they're doing. But Mondays, they carve out time for the marketing. And that's where this can fall in, right? Building all of your social posts, maybe you build them out on Monday. And you just build a list. Here's my 8 to 10 posts. I've scheduled the days and the times that they're going to release. Scheduled, done. Now I can work on whatever else I want to, knowing that my social posts are just automatically posting themselves, right? So use the system. Hootsuite is a great option. Planable is another option. Some of these are free, some are not. There's other options out there too. Hootsuite's a great one. They've been around for a long time, and I believe they still have a free plan that you can use. And then if you need to upgrade, you can, but it gives a lot of functionality for free. So definitely check a system out and see how it can automate processes and help you with your social media marketing. All right, the next section we're going to talk about is article content. Okay, articles are an amazing way to drive traffic to your website and increase your SEO. The more articles you write, the more content the search engines have to crawl and index. This means that they can easily recognize that your site is a resource of information for people to access. Okay, and so when we talk about articles, you see here in parentheses it says blogs. A lot of people think that, blogging, that's what happened. That's what my mom used to do, 20 years ago. Blogging was a big deal for many years. Today, believe it or not, this might be just my humble opinion, but blogging is still a thing, right? We still write blogs, but it's a little bit different. Instead of being like personal lifestyle or travel blogs, they're oftentimes now articles that are built into your website, whether we call it a blog or articles or resources or whatever. It's content that we're generating about certain topics, and we've got different articles with different topics and information. And what this says is absolutely true. The more that you write, the more information on your website that search engines can crawl through and index, meaning the more topics and keywords and themes that they can use when somebody's doing a Google search to list your website as a resource to whoever's searching, right? Because you've got so much content and information. Now, articles. What do you think the result could be? If you haven't done this and you start writing just short articles, they don't have to be a lot, right? You could write an article on certain topics. I'll show you some examples here in a minute. But 6 to 8 paragraphs of information, or it could be the 5 ways to do this, or the top 11 tips for any artist who wants this. And then you have a numbered list that talks about things, right? It doesn't have to be long. You want original content, quality content, just like what we were talking about for SEO before. But what's going to happen? Well, if you're writing content, like it says here, it gives search engines more information, quality information to provide answers to people who are searching. It means that your site may rank higher and higher because it's looked at as a great resource for information. And Google and other search engines love sharing good resources to searchers, right? So it can really help drive your ranking within search results. Okay, so here, what we're seeing on the screen is an example of a great, in my opinion, a great article, or rather, set of articles that somebody uses. Now, this is from an audio production company based in Utah called Vox Fox Productions. Becky is the gal that runs the studio. She, in my opinion, does a tremendous job at marketing and providing value to the local music community. So what you see here is her own list of articles. 14 things artists do to make everything harder. 6 questions to ask a producer besides price. 7 steps to making a demo with your iPhone. 11 ways to get the best performance from the singer in the studio, and so forth. There's all of these great articles that she's written on very specific topics, and they're topics of interest, right? They relate to our clients, our audience that we're trying to provide services to. This is what you can do. And again, they don't have to be anything crazy. You can just build out individual topics and write based on your experience and your expertise, your knowledge. And all of these are individual pages with a link here on, like in her case, it shows it's a blog page where you can find all of her articles. But it makes it easier for your clients to see information. And not only that, but imagine, well, before I get ahead of myself, imagine what it can do for you, right? Number one, we've talked about this. Having articles built on your website can improve your SEO. It can show you as a stronger ranking in search results for your local community or recording studios or whatever services you're offering. It also helps you become a trusted resource or an expert. If you can imagine, you've got artists and potential clients that are coming to your website, they're learning about you, and then they stumble across this list of articles. And they say, oh my gosh, look at all this great content. It's like it was written for me. So-and-so, they know me, right? The studio knows me. They know what I'm looking for. And suddenly you become an expert, right? And they trust you and they want to work with you because they know that you can help them. Also, with articles, you have a great opportunity to build in what are called calls to action. Right? A call to action is essentially you basically setting like a button at the bottom of the article or within the article that is asking them to do something, right? And it could be something like after they've read the article, it can say, contact us now to see how we can help you. Or book studio time now, and that link goes right to their booking page. Or, I don't know, whatever, right? Learn more about our services here, right? Whatever it is, it's a button or a link that says, now that you've read this, do this step next, right? And you're building that journey for them to follow through from start to finish. So you have great opportunity in every article to build out a call to action. Also, it can help you build help you build social posts easier, right? So we talked about social media marketing and building out those schedules. Well, sometimes we get in a rut and we can't think of any more content that we want to write about or photos or whatever. But if you have these lists of articles, you can just list the article and add the link right back to your website, which is saying, hey, we just wrote this great article about, whatever, 6 tips for hearing your own music objectively. Check it out now here. And it links right back to your website. It makes it easier for you to build social posts. And keep in mind, you don't have to limit yourself to only posting that article once. I mean, you can post it and 6 months later, post it again with a different title and different line of information. So you can reuse that content. It's called evergreen content. It's always useful. It's not a one-time use. And not only that, but can you imagine the SEO results that would come from social media channels with links going back to your site and then people clicking on those and coming constantly to your website to see these articles, and they spend time on your website reading all the content. Search engines will love that, right? Because it shows that people are very actively engaging with your website from different sources. It looks really good for your website. Okay, and then it encourages sharing, right? You can encourage your community to share this information. Hey, if you like this article, be sure to repost it, within your own page. Or maybe your clients love it so much and they look at you as an expert and they say, you know what, I love all of this. Every time she posts, I repost it and I share it and share why I love it, right? It helps to build that community, that communication back and forth, and encourages sharing in certain ways. So, use a system. Coming back around to this, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, AI, content writing, just really, really briefly, right? So most of us are probably familiar with AI today and the powerful ways that it can help provide content or answer questions or generate, art, imagery, lyrics. I mean, there's a lot of ways that people use AI today to help them. Consider it this way. You may not feel like you're a natural writer, and it might be a daunting task to start building a series of articles and content, right? Because it's hard. Maybe you don't enjoy writing, and that's perfectly fine. You could potentially use a system like one of these AI content writing systems, Jasper, Copy AI, Chat GPT. There's others out there as well. You could use a system like this to help generate content. You just plug in, I'd like to build an article, and this is the content. This is what it's going to be about. I want 5 tips, and go. And it produces all the content for you, and you're almost done. Now, my word of advice is to not trust the machine to know everything about your industry as well as you know your industry, right? Don't just generate the copy and then copy it and paste it on your website and done. Make sure you read through it, you proof it. You may find that, some of the options that it gives you are not really great, and maybe you have some better ideas, so you can write out, a paragraph here or there that might be a little bit more fine-tuned to what you're looking to accomplish. So take it with a grain of salt. AI can be a very powerful tool, but I don't think it replaces you and your brain. I think you still ultimately have the knowledge and the experience that really AI arguably it thinks it has, but you are still more powerful than AI, and you have more experience. So definitely make sure you're reviewing and altering the text as needed, so you don't just trust it blindly. Okay, and then the last section we're going to talk about related to social media and content is video content. Okay, video is king today, and it has been for a while, right? That's why when you go on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or any social channel, you're seeing reels and stories that are popping up, and it's because that's where people are clicking today, right? They're still going through posts and things like that, but generally people are losing their time all day, every day in reels and seeing these funny things that are happening. So video content it can be very important for your marketing efforts, right? And sharing more about you and your studio and clients and what's going on. Now look here on the screen. First of all, when you're building video content, you've got to consider, what do you want to accomplish with building out videos? Like, what are the styles of videos? What are you looking to do? And then you need to figure out the structure. How am I going to build my videos? What content will it include? Where do I want to be? What is my background going to be? All of that. Now, we've got 2 different videos here that are playing, and I want to highlight something here. The one on the left is our friend Becky at Vox Productions. Okay. She, again, we talked about her website for article content. She also does videos on some of those articles and other content, and she's regularly producing content and videos and articles and everything. She does a tremendous job with it. And as you can see here, she's obviously within her studio. She is talking about, whatever topic, and it's a great video, right? It's a great style. It looks good. On the right side, we see our friend Graham Cochran, if you're familiar with Graham. Now, he's been doing this for many, many years, over 10 years, probably closer to 14 years or so. He has been doing video for a long time, and he has dialed it in to a point where it looks great, it sounds great. He's figured out what he's trying to accomplish, and it just rolls, right? Now, when you look at these 2 videos side by side, I don't know if you notice any difference. They're both great. They produce great content. We can see that Graham's video may look a little bit more polished than Becky's, which is fine. He's been doing it for a long time, and truth be told, he's probably got a team behind him that helps produce his videos. He's not doing it himself, right? Now, nothing against Becky. She does tremendous videos as well, but as she gets more and more into it, she's probably going to find ways to up the quality and still provide wonderful content. But what I'm trying to get at here is your video content, you need to make sure that you have quality content and you're providing value, that it's just not like a fluff video that nobody wants to watch or they're going to click out of. But a lot of times we get stuck on the quality aspect, right? We want a quality video from day one, and we will have nothing else, right? We know what we want, and we want that quality. Now, that's okay, but I would recommend just getting started. Start somewhere, and over time, as you gain more experience, that improved quality and the experience will come, right? They're going to improve over time. It's just like your first mixes, right? If you go back and listen to a mix you did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you're probably going to maybe not, but maybe cringe a little bit and say, oh man, I wish I would have known then what I know now. The same thing with building content. Start somewhere, be proud of what you're doing, and over time it's going to improve over leaps and bounds. So kudos on both of you, Graham and Becky. You guys are doing awesome. Love your content, and thanks for providing it to our community. Okay, a statistic here. 66% of consumers find short form videos to be the most engaging type of content on social media. Short form being like shorts and stories. And I don't know, there's probably like a cutoff as far as time, but I would say it's probably anywhere between 30 and 60 seconds, maybe longer. But these short form videos, 66% of people find them to be more engaging than anything else on social media. And I can tell you that's true for my wife. My wife loves stories, and she's constantly sharing funny things with us, and it's very enjoyable. What does that mean for your studio? Well, you have the opportunity to replicate that, right? Short videos, short form videos to highlight different aspects of your studio. A couple things that you want to consider is, when you're building video content, number one, what is the purpose? Right? Is it going to be educational? Is it going to show your expertise? Is it more of an interview style as opposed to like showing, real clients? Are you spotlighting clients in your videos? On what channels are you going to use? Are you going to release your videos on social media, or are you going to build them for YouTube or straight to your website, right? There's a lot of different ways, kind of like that social media strategy for video content. What do you want to accomplish? How are you going to do it? Think through it a little bit. And there's not one right or wrong answer here, right? You may find that you want to push your videos on, YouTube, for example, and you will build different playlists. Maybe you have one playlist which is educational, where you are teaching audio production aspects and you're trying to build a following there. And then maybe you've got a different channel that's all about clients and, the best way to prepare your clients and what you do to help them succeed at their, in their sessions or whatever it may be. Or maybe you've got a different one, anyway, you kind of get the idea. Like, you don't have to have just one option, one bucket. You can silo these different channels and opportunities so you've got different sources for these videos with different content. Now, what we're seeing on the screen right here, I just want to shout this one out. This is a friend. He's up in the Rye Room in Portland, Oregon. He runs a studio. He does audio production and does a tremendous job with all the work that he does. Years ago, he connected with a friend of his who did video production professionally, and they said, what if we built out a service offering together? And they eventually launched what is called the Rye Room Sessions, where they work together. One of them does all of the audio components for live recording with clients, while the other sets up cameras and runs the video component. They've got a really cool environment to run all of this. As you can see, they have great quality videos, great quality sound, and this is basically a high-end service offering that they provide to their clients in generating more revenue for their studio. So you may find, as you get creative, you may be an audio production studio, but there are other service offerings that you can build partnerships around and lean on to gain more revenue in your studio and expand your audience, right? So look at video content. There's a lot of ways you can do it. And it's all about generating leads or more revenue. Kind of look at those channels and figure out how you want to accomplish your goals. Okay, number 3, establish a local presence. In this way of managing your marketing to grow your studio and drive more revenue, we're going to be talking about your Google business profile as well as local music groups to see how you can establish a more local presence. Okay, now number 1 is Google business profile. Okay, if you were to search, recording studio in whatever town, you will probably find results through Google that pop up with these Google business profiles. This is actually a really powerful tool that you can leverage. It doesn't replace your website. In fact, it can help your website in certain ways, even though it feels like you're duplicating information in both places. Now, on the screen on the left side, we see a studio. This is Penthouse Recording Studios in New York City. They're right in Times Square, a great group. And when you pull up their business profile, there's a lot of information that you can see. In fact, I had to split this into 2 screenshots and put them side by side because it just kept scrolling down further and further, right? But immediately we can see photos, we can see their reviews, their stars, we can see their address, we can see products and other information. There's a lot here that can be built out. If you do not have a Google business profile today, I highly encourage you build one. Okay, it's another way for you to be found, and there's a lot of information that you can add to that. So as you can see on the screen with these bullet points, when you're building out your Google business profile, you can link it to your website. Think of that from an SEO perspective. That is a backlink from another page down into your website, which is great for SEO. You can add your contact information. Your social profiles, you can see here at the very bottom of that second image, they've got links to their social profiles so people can easily find them. Directions, there's an option to add your address and have a link, a button to get directions right to your studio. There's also an option for appointments, right? Now, in this case, under appointments, they've just got their website built. But remember when we talked before about like that book now feature that you can build onto your website? What if you build that page right here into Google Profile? So when somebody clicks on appointments, it goes right to your bookings page on your website. And now they can book a session, right? Photos, reviews, we've talked about, products and services where you can list out all the different services and products that you're offering. And question and answers. This one's often overlooked. How powerful is that somebody can do a Google search and then you build out a list of common questions and answers where you control that narrative, right? You control the questions and the answers that are displaying and helping provide a better user experience when people are trying to get information. Lastly, having a Google business profile helps you look more legitimate. If it just shows up and there's like no information, or maybe the website is a broken link, very good chance people are not going to follow through and contact your studio further. If you set it up and there's a lot of great information that help people, they're going to be more inclined to reaching out and starting a project with your studio. So definitely look into this. If you're not doing it today, look at your business profile within Google. And if you are doing it today, go in and refresh it a little bit, right? Look at it and see what are some areas that we can improve within this profile and strengthen our presence, And all of that shows up when we do like a local search. Now, what we're looking at here, this is just an example that I did in my hotel room when I was at NAMM. I was just curious. And so I pulled up Siri on my mobile device and I asked, what are some local recording studios near me? And you'll notice that Siri pulled up some results. These are local results from where I was at the time. Bomb Shelter Rehearsal Studios, Riff House, OC Sound Studios, Here in a Weevil Studio, right? And then I asked, or rather Siri asked, what would you like to look at? And I said, let's look at Bomb Shelter Rehearsal Studios. So she pulled up the information. And from there I could click to get directions or more info. And then after that, I asked Siri, get directions, and it pulled it right up in my map, right? So it's powerful. If you have a local presence and you are a result that's showing up when somebody's looking for a recording studio near you, how powerful is that? That from any device, on their mobile device, doing a Google search or asking Siri or whatever it may be, you are basically a result that pulls up, right? You're going to gain more and more traffic because of the work that you're doing behind the scenes to be in that position. Okay, and then here under establish a local presence, something else that I wanted to throw out as an opportunity is connecting with local music groups. These could be groups in different, channels or aspects, but what I wanted to talk about more specifically was social. And to dive a little bit deeper, I'm actually talking about Facebook. Now, again, you may kind of laugh at this and say, man, Facebook is for old people, I'm too young, and that's fine, right? But what I find is, yes, Facebook is not what it once used to be, right? We don't have as many people using Facebook as we used to. It is definitely an older audience for the most part. But one of the things that Facebook still has going for it is their groups feature, where you can create a group or you can join groups with very specific interests, and you can build a community and interact with that community. And that is super powerful. Unless I'm mistaken, or it's changed since I've recorded this video, you're not finding that on Instagram. You're not really finding it to the same extent on like Clubhouse or LinkedIn or others. LinkedIn a little bit, but really that's one of the powerful features is building and being a part of these groups with specialized interests. So this one on the screen is a very specific example. This is called the Utah music scene. It's one that I'm a part of and that I'm actively involved in. I can't remember exactly. I mean, I want to say there's like around 8 to 10,000 people as a part of this group. So it's a pretty big audience, right? And most of these people are dialed into the music scene, meaning for my own studio, these are my target demographic, right? For bringing people into the studio and working with them. This is a really good opportunity for you to build connections and help people. And so you can see in the bullet points, if you join these music groups, you have a great opportunity to answer questions, especially if you come from a position of expertise. Because of your experience, in a production studio, when people are asking questions about, hey, what microphone do you find works best on recording an acoustic guitar? You can say, you know what, in my experience, these microphones have worked very well for my clients when they've come into my studio, and this is why. And you're not necessarily pitching yourself in your studio, but you're answering questions and being a part of that community. You can comment on people's posts or share their posts within the community and just help them out. You can make introductions, right? So maybe somebody over here is looking for a bass player for their band, and this guy over here who's a tremendous bass player, and you want to make that connection. You can start a direct message and connect them and have a conversation and help them get to know one another, right? It's about building that relationship, the connections. Help them book shows, right? I'm going to talk about this a little bit later again and again, but help them book shows. If this is happening all the time, at least in our local community, is people are saying, man, what venues do you guys go to? We want to book a show, in a month, and I don't know who to talk to. Man, if you have those connections, help them, right? Give them the resources, or better yet, introduce them to the individuals that can help them take the next steps. Be a part of that community and get social, right? Be social. Be a part of the community and make sure that, that you're seen in certain ways, in a positive way. All right, we're going to jump to number 4, which is community involvement, which is a little bit about what we're talking about. There's some crossover here. But the first thing I want to talk about with community involvement is a concept that I strongly believe in. And you'll probably hear it in my voice here in just a minute. But it's be a go-giver. Right? What does that mean? I don't know if you've read this book before. It's a great resource. But being a go-giver means to shift our focus from getting to giving. Constantly and consistently providing value to others. It's not only a fulfilling way to live life and conduct business, but the most profitable way as well. That's all derived from this book itself. Being a go-giver is all about, in your local music community or the broader virtual community, focus on giving back, being a part of the community and helping others, instead of constantly asking yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong with asking and trying to get information or get assistance with things, but the more that you can give, the better light that you're giving off, and people notice that. Now, I want to give some examples here. These are personal examples, but I wanted to give you some ideas, right? That's what this light bulb is in that orange space. Some of these will have a light bulb, which are just ideas, right? It's not saying that this is the only way that you can be a part of the community, but these are some things that I've done myself that I find very rewarding and helpful. The first one is your arts council or an arts commission. There's a pretty good chance that in your community there is an arts commission or an arts council that's already established and set up. I was a part of this in other communities in the Arts Commission. And when I moved to my town where I currently reside, within the first month of moving into our home, I was already applying to be a part of the board on the Arts Commission so that I could pitch new ideas and opportunities within music. They were doing a few things in music already. I had some bigger ideas that I wanted to take charge of and provide to the community. This has been a huge opportunity for me, and I love being a part of our local Arts Commission. Now, our local Arts Commission, you can see the photo here. These are really fine folks. This is about half of our group. We do a lot of different things, not just music-focused areas. There's something called Taste of the Arts, where every month we have a new experience that gives kind of a taste of something in the arts community. It could be painting classes, it could be chocolate tastings, it could be cake decorating, or whatever, related to the arts, but it's an opportunity for the public to come for free and experience something new that's related to the arts. Really very popular program. We do an annual art show. There's a theater group called PG Players that is a part of the Arts Commission. Summer Concerts in the Park series. There's children's choir, Pleasant Grove Orchestra, songwriter competition, songwriting workshop, open mic at Grove Station, local artist spotlights in the city newsletters. Those last four are initiatives that I've been able to develop and put on for our community. We'll get into that a little bit more, but there's a lot that you can do and a lot of ways that you can shape music and the community by volunteering and being a part of these councils, right? Another opportunity that I've done before in other communities and I'm doing again, we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary in our local community of an open mic night. So we put on what's called open mic at Grove Station. Now this is technically run through the Arts Commission, but we have a couple sponsors. My studio is a primary sponsor because we sponsor and provide equipment and the setup time and managing the event and the teardown time. And we run this every month. But we invite community members to come out and play music, the artists and musicians in the community to come out and share their talents, play music, promote their music. We have a merch table on site where musicians can come put any merchandise and try to get sales out of it. And then we invite the community at large, right? Through all of the invitations go out every month to every member in the community through a mailer newsletter, an emailed newsletter. We've got a marquee board on City Hall that highlights our event every month and a number of other ways as well. It's a great opportunity to connect musicians with the general community, to hear local music and support these musicians. And every month we also pull from local businesses. We pull prizes where we sponsor a prize, or not us, rather companies, local businesses will sponsor a prize. And at the end of the event, we do prize drawings for the musicians that play. And we put all of them into a spinning wheel, spin the wheel, and whoever wins, we give out these different prizes. So it's a really cool opportunity to connect with the community, with local musicians, and really give them an opportunity to perform. You may or may not have open mics in your area, but maybe you find a way to shift yours as a little bit different focus compared to other open mics, right? So that's a great opportunity if you wanted to get involved in your music community. Another option is a battle of the bands or maybe a rap battle, right? If you have the equipment and the ability to do so, you can sponsor in your community a battle of the bands or rap battles. And you can find other sponsors to help with some of this as well. But it's a really great opportunity for you to get involved again. Now, here's another one that we put on. Last year, we pitched a songwriter competition through the Arts Commission. And again, I was fortunate to be able to head this up and build this out. We did a songwriter competition where we invited everyone in the community that wanted to submit a song. And we picked we had some judges that picked the 10 finalists. And then we had the showcase where those 10 finalists came and they performed their song. They talked about what it meant. And we had a panel of judges that would give feedback in real time right to those artists after they performed and talked about their song. And then they did their tallying of votes. And at the end, we had some winners that were drawn. Now, you can see in this very first photo, we packed this house. This was the first year we did it. We had between 250 and 300 people attend, which might not sound like a lot, but for our first event, it was wonderful to have that much support from the community. On the right side, you can see we had 66 submissions from songwriters. That's 66 unique songwriters that pitched one of their songs for the competition. Again, it might not sound like a lot, but for our first year in our local community, it was more than we were expecting, and it was wonderful. We had 9 different prize sponsors that gave out prizes to the winners of the songwriting competition. Total prize value was $2,700. So these were great prizes we were giving out. And in the end, we had 2 winners. The 4 judges voted on the grand prize winner. And then the audience had an audience choice where they went in and they voted on their favorite as well. And we tallied those up and we announced the 2 winners and gave them their prizes. And it was a wonderful experience. It was a lot of work, but it really helps to establish yourself in the community and give back, right? Being a go-giver. And latched onto that songwriting competition, we also built out a songwriting workshop. This was where we had actually one of the 4 judges. He's an award-winning songwriter. He's worked with a lot of famous people, including he did songwriting with Ben Folds, as well as He's toured, internationally, working in audio production and doing some different things. And he regularly goes out to Prague to record orchestras and, work, in some of these big, big projects. And so anyway, he was a tremendous resource in our local community. And we had him come and teach a songwriting workshop. It was a 1-hour workshop where he talked about the fundamentals of songwriting and how to, create music that is going to make waves and, different things like that. And, for that particular event, again, our first year we did it, we had 52 registrations. We had to actually, open a door and bring in more chairs because we had more people there than we expected would show up, more than 52, just the registrations. And we did a survey at the end. And 100% of the people who took that survey gave a 10 out of 10 satisfaction rating for the songwriting workshop. A lot of it was attributed to him, of course, but it was so wonderful being able to provide a workshop and an opportunity for the community to come and learn about songwriting. So another great opportunity to look into. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about making connections. This one's a little bit shorter. Number 5, make connections. These are all going to be somewhat similar, but it's going to give you some ideas on how you can connect with others, within your circles in the industry. Number 1 is probably obvious: connect with local musicians. Get to know the artists in your community. Like, reach out, get to know them, support their music releases. When you see that somebody's releasing music, if it's something that you're interested in, repost it and congratulate them and be active with them in sharing the news. They will love that, if you are also sharing their releases. Attend their shows. Be a part of that experience and be there to support them. Follow them on social. When they post on social, add comments, share their posts, make introductions, kind of like what we talked about before. If they're looking for a musician to join their group, or if they're looking for a mastering engineer, or if they're looking for, whatever, help them make connections with people that you know. Help them to book shows. If you know the venues, make that connection or help get them in, right? Get your foot in the door to give them an opportunity. And then, they kind of have to steer it from there, but you can help them and ask. Just really what it comes down to is ask them. Ask, how can I help you? You don't have to have an agenda necessarily, but just reach out and say, hey, I love what you're doing with your music. What can I do to help? I've got these resources. I've got these connections. What are you looking for? What can I do for you? Right? And it'll go a long ways. People will realize all that you're doing, and they'll appreciate that, right? And a lot of times that'll be reciprocated in different ways. Connect with local venues. There's a pretty good chance you know some of the venues that are out there in your local community, but get to know as many as you can. Get to know who they are and who are the owners and what kind of bands are they looking for. Follow them on social. Again, like we saw, comment and share on their posts. Make introductions to musicians. If they're looking for certain opportunities or if they're looking for certain bands that have a certain quality and you know some, make those connections. If they're interested, this one, maybe they don't want this, but you can help them book shows if they are looking for more bookings. Talk to your clients and others and see if you can make those connections there. Another option is you could partner with them on sponsoring an event or just be a sponsor for one of their events. There's a local venue that's been around for many years here in our community, and they do a battle of the bands every year, and it's a great opportunity to come in as a sponsor to provide, whatever. Maybe it's a prize as a part of the prizes that are given out to the winners, or, whatever it may be. There's some really cool opportunities that you can do if you just talk and get creative, brainstorm a bit. And then again, ask them how you can help. Approach the venues and say, I love what you guys are doing. This is my community. What can I do to help you succeed? How can I be a part of your community? Another one is connect with local studios. This is an interesting one because sometimes we think of that as competition. Now, I will admit, in the music industry, competition isn't quite what it is in many other industries I've been in the past. It really feels like we've got a more tight-knit community. And that's not always the case, of course, but a lot of times studios are friends, studio owners and people that work between different studios. It's less about competition. It's more collaboration and helping and friendship. So I don't know how it is in your local community, but there's a great opportunity for you to connect with these local studios. Just get to know who they are, even if you look at them as competition. Get to know who they are and what kind of music are they serving and what are their needs and how can you help them. And I've had a number of studios over the years that because we've built a relationship, when they have overflow, they just can't take on all the work that's coming in, they'll send them my way. Or, a lot of times if there's somebody who's reaching out about a project and it's a genre that I don't service, I like knowing good studios that I can trust to send that referral to. And so just get to know the local studios and build those relationships. It can go a long way. And then lastly, this one might be a little bit more on the fringe. It might be a little bit different, but connect with any local universities or high schools in your area. These universities and high schools, they have music programs that are established. And it's very likely that students there are looking for resources. They want to know more. They want to connect in the community more, especially if they're from out of town and, they're just there for school. There's ways that you can get connected. You can offer services or offer, prizes or whatever for classes and local class competitions, or connecting with professors and teachers and talking about what you can do. Maybe at the high school or the university, maybe, they've got a choir or a band that you can go in and offer to, for free, record one of their concerts and distribute that to all the students. Not only is that a nice thing to do because the students will have something to listen to later, or maybe professors can critique later, but also on the flip side, all of those students in the choir or the band or whoever that may be, they get to know you as, hey, this guy can record, and man, it sounds pretty darn good. Or girl, right? Guy or girl can record. It sounds pretty darn good, and maybe I'd like to do something with them. Maybe there's other creative ways you can get in there for recitals, and you can record recitals and make a job of that, or have the students record their audition tapes. Or there's a lot of different ways that you can get creative and work with them. But if you've never thought about that, start making connections. Maybe start with the professors and teachers and just offer services and see what comes of it from there. All right. Our last section, which is our bonus section, is word of mouth. So we want to talk about what is word of mouth marketing. Now, there's a statistic here. First of all, 92% of consumers will believe a recommendation from friends and family over any other type of advertising. And I would dare say not just advertising, but marketing as well. That's a huge number. 92% of people will believe a recommendation from somebody they trust, like family or friends. How far would that go for you if your clients like you enough to say, hey, I heard you're looking for a studio where you can record. Check out these guys. Hey, you're looking for whatever. Definitely talk to him or her because they know what they're doing, right? 92% of people will believe that recommendation and they will take action in booking your studio or working with you. That's huge. So word of mouth marketing is a strategy used to generate natural discussions about and recommendations for a product or a company. Now that's a little bit kind of, stodgy, right? That description. But really what I find it's about is trust, credibility, and loyalty. Word of mouth marketing is when somebody says something good about you or they make recommendations because they trust you, they find that you're credible, and if they're referring you, they're loyal, right? They like you, they want to help you, they want to be a part of what you're doing in certain ways. I find personally that it's all about the experience. Right. So a couple things. Thinking about like the audio production flow, the studio, what is the experience that you're giving your clients? And if it's a good experience, they will recommend you. Word of mouth marketing will come naturally because of the experience that they've had. Things like, you and your studio, how is your communication with them? Do they always have to reach out and ask you questions, or are you on the ball and you're communicating and setting expectations regularly with them and providing information on a regular basis? It's your personality, right? How is your personality? Are you friendly? Are you helpful? Are you kind? Or are you a little cold and maybe people don't want to approach you as much? How are your follow-ups with your clients? Kind of like what I said with communications. Are you following up on a regular basis with your clients without them having to wonder, what's going on? I haven't heard from them for 2 weeks and I don't know what's going on with my project. Your follow-through. If you say you'll do something, such as send a mix or follow up in whatever way, are you completing that? Are you a man or a woman of your word? What is your level of professionalism, right? Now, I did say earlier that you want to use your own voice and be yourself, and that's fine, but you do need to have a little level of professionalism. If you are running a business and you are taking people's money in exchange for services, you need to be professional about how you're managing your business. It's about the environment, right? Your studio, it doesn't have to be top of the line, a multi-million-dollar studio, but it needs to be an environment that's comfortable and engaging and inspiring to your clients so that they feel comfortable in that environment. You need to have commitment to your clients. Put them first and help them be a part of what they're looking to do. You need to provide results and make sure that there's satisfaction there with what you're providing to them and how they look at you. So it's a lot of little things, right? But it's really ultimately at the end of the day, if somebody's going to refer you to their friends or their family, it's really because of the experience that you have provided them on a number of different levels. So in starting to wrap this up, I'm going to harp on our key takeaway here. We saw this a number of times, and I want to harp on it again. It's all about using a system, right? Everything we've been talking about up to this point is marketing focused. And when I say it's marketing focused, this is before anyone even commits to a project with your studio. It's really all about something called leads, like lead generation and lead management. Lead generation is everything we've been talking through, right? It's your social media marketing, your videos, your content, your website, your SEO. All of that helps to drive leads to you in your studio. And now it's all about, as those hopefully floodgates start to open and you get people reaching out to your studio, inquiring about services or asking about projects and rates, how do you manage it from that point forward, right? It would be a real shame if you've got these leads coming in and you respond, but you don't have a system to follow up and you forget about them and they just fall through the cracks and they never reach out again and you forget about the opportunities and you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You need to have a system in place where you can keep track of those leads and manage them effectively. And so we talk about lead management systems. What you need to focus on as your marketing efforts start paying off and you have these new leads, these individuals, contacts reaching out with interest, you need to make sure that you've got a system in place for lead capture where you can keep track of them. You can keep track of their contact information, details about a project they want to do. Nothing's worse than calling them back a week later and saying, "Hey, Joe, we spoke last week about a project. I can't remember anything that we talked about. Can you tell me again?" Right? I mean, what does that tell them? Do you care? Do you really care? Having a system where you can document all the information and details of what they're looking for helps. So when you call them and say, "Hey, Joe, I remember we were talking about your project and this is what you're looking for and I'm really excited. What can we do as a next step?" Right? Makes a big difference. Communications, having a system that helps you to better communicate with your clients, whether that's manual communications or automated systemized communications. All of that can help. A system that can help you create tasks such as follow-ups and set reminders so the system is prompting you, take these next steps, do this, do that. And you don't have to rely on your brain so much because you've got a system that can help you take the next steps. It can be huge. Lead stage tracking. When I talk about stages, what I mean is this. At the very start of what we call a sales pipeline it's a brand new lead. It's when they first express interest in you and your studio and your services. And at the very end of this pipeline is they pay you money and they book a session and now they're a project within your studio. But there can be different steps in between, right? You want to keep track of this list of leads that you have, these contacts that are inquiring about projects. You want to keep track of where are they in this process. Not everyone is here or here. Somebody may be in communication with you. Maybe you sent a quote to them and they're a little bit further down the line, but they're not at the end yet. Or maybe somebody accepted the quote and now you're working out the details for booking their time and taking the payment, right? There's different steps in between and we call these lead stages. How do you track where everyone is along that pipeline, that flow? You need a system for that. How do you convert those leads to new project? What are the steps and the processes involved? And what happens when somebody says they want to book studio time and pay you their deposit? What do you do from there? Do you have a system where you can take that, convert it into a project, and now you manage much in the same way you manage their project from start to finish and all the steps in between? The biggest takeaway here is do not let these people fall through the cracks. Like I said, you've probably spent a lot of time building out systems so you can get more leads and more attention in your community. And maybe in some cases you've been spending money on advertising or different ways. You've been investing in your business so that you can get these new leads to run your business. Do not let them fall through the cracks. Find a system that works for you and use that system so you can manage your leads and ultimately drive more growth in your studio and drive more revenue for your studio so that you can make more money doing what you love. So Our last slide about using a system. These systems that provide this value are called customer relationship managers, or CRMs. Sometimes they've got other systems built in like project management and scheduling and billing and things like that as well. But a CRM is a system where you can keep track of those leads from start to finish and every step in between, the follow-ups, the reminders, everything that you need to do to win their business and capture the revenue that you deserve. There's a number of different systems. There's a lot of systems that do things like that out there. And some of them that you may see or hear about are things like HubSpot. HubSpot has a free version that's pretty great. They do a lot of good things for general businesses. Zoho's another one that's a CRM that can help. Sonido Software. I mean, that's our company, but this is what we do, is we provide the studio management platform. The biggest differentiation between us and some of these others is HubSpot, Zoho, and other CRMs. They're really good systems. But what they tend to do is they build a system that's generic, right? It's built as a general business management system and sold to every industry under the sun. So they have to stay fairly generic. Sonido Software, we are a studio management system that's designed specifically for the audio production industry. So while we do a lot of like the CRM work, the lead management and driving those towards projects, we also provide services in scheduling studio time, especially if you have multiple studio spaces, billing your clients, project management, sharing audio files with clients to collect feedback through a review portal, delivering files to your clients, equipment tracking and management, and so many other things that are designed around your studio workflow. So having a system is good. We would love to talk about Sonido Software because it's really designed for you and your studio. So to wrap all of this up, are you ready to take your studio to the next level? It's about systems, right? It's about building out your marketing efforts. And again, this is not an all-inclusive list. There's a lot of other things you can do, but if you're not doing some of these things, maybe start focusing here on establishing your web presence. That includes your SEO and improving your SEO, social media and the content that you're building, establishing a local presence, community involvement, just getting involved in your community, making connections with those in your community, and word of mouth, right? Give the experience that your clients deserve. Thank you so much for joining us today for this presentation and talking about ways that you can improve your marketing for your own audio production studio. Again, my name is Brady Hogard with Sonido Software. I would love to connect with you, hear about your studio, learn how you are doing marketing successfully within your own community, and maybe talk a little bit more about ways that you can improve your marketing and drive more growth and revenue for your own studio. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. My email is here on the screen, and I look forward to hearing from you. With that, have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us today.